Hello everyone and welcome to the program Business Point on Global Television. I am Samuel Odi. Many thanks for joining on today's edition of the program. So today we're bringing you global business update. As we've seen that investors' momentum are being on a higher level as we see the Nigerian All-Share Index, crawled back to 105,000 as trading volume spiked. And looking at all of those, so the story says the Nigerian All-Share Index concluded trading day on the 24th of April 2025 in a positive terrain, gaining around 560.27 points to surpass the 105,000 mark. This reflects a 0.5% increase, with the index rising from 104,774.98. We'll be bringing you more details on this quickly after this break. Stay with us. Many thanks for staying with us. Now let's get into the business of the day proper. Nigerian All-Share Index concluded its trading day on April 24th, 2025 in a positive terrain, gaining 560.27 points to surpass the 105,000 mark. This reflects a 0.53% increase. The index, rising from 104,744.98 points, reported the previous day to a surge of 105,305.25 points. Daily trading volume experienced a substantial uptick, climbing to 774 million shares compared to 353 million shares traded the day before. Market capitalization also saw an increase, moving from 65.8 trillion naira to surpass 66 trillion naira, ultimately closing at 66.1 trillion naira. The market summary currently shows that the market opened at 105,305.25 points. Previously was at 104,744.98 points. The day change is at plus 0.53%. Year-to-date performance is at plus 2.29%. Volume traded are 744 million shares, and market cap remained surged by a few percentage, which surged to 66.1 trillion naira. On the other hand, market outlook, along with the current recovery and the all-share index, has successfully surpassed the 105,000 mark, showing a sign of further strength as bullish momentum begins in the emerging markets. The anticipated recovery of large and mid-cap stocks is expected to play a crucial role in shaping the index stability in the coming weeks. So looking at it now, we're seeing a bullish momentum would continue, and then we've seen already from the early hours of today that the all-share index is showing a bullish trend that would continue its trajectory into next week. As of today, early hours of this morning, we've seen that the market has opened, and also currently it's doing and trading on about 66 trillion naira. That's talking about all of the levels and market caps being traded at as of this morning. This is the latest update we're getting from the Nigerian All-Share Index market. That's talking about the Nigerian stock market. So we are witnessing a bullish momentum. A couple of weeks ago, we saw a bearish trend based on investors, not having what it takes, and they're having a momentum to continue trading based on the trade war going on within the global market, which has also affected Nigeria negatively. So now the Central Bank of Nigeria has been able to trade around 50 million US dollars, which is giving Naira stability and also opening more room for individuals to come and also invest in the Nigerian stock market. That's why we're witnessing these significant increases. And also when the market went down, those that invested, that had what it takes to invest when the market was down are all smiling as we speak now, based on the fact that there is a certain level of stability in the Nigerian stock exchange market. So congrats to those who traded and those who are also looking forward to trade. But the momentum continues. We tend to see this bullish momentum all through to the mid of next week if we don't have other challenges that would be coming up that would affect the market. So moving away from that, Nigerian Naira appreciates as CBN sells additional dollars in the FX market. The Nigerian local currency, the Naira, appreciated against the US dollar in the official exchange market as the Central Bank of Nigeria sold additional dollars to boost liquidity. Data from the Central Bank of Nigeria highlighted that Naira appreciated by 0.02% in the official window, closing at 1,602 Naira.30 kobo per dollar. Sports FX rate continues to fluctuate even with the present support by the Apex Bank. The Central Bank of Nigeria was in the forex market again today, selling around $50 million at rates between 1,599 Naira and 1,604 Naira per dollar. Meanwhile, the local currency weakens to 1,620 Naira at the parallel market, showing all of this transaction as the Nigerian Forex Exchange market added within a range of 1,591 Naira to 1,606 Naira. By the end of the session, the Naira gained slightly appreciated by 2 basis points to close at 1,602 Naira points. 3043 cents kobo rather. Nigerian gross external revenue closed at $37.8 billion as price of crude oil swung in the global commodity market on Wednesday. Oil price dipped by 3% as reports suggest that OPEC might speed up production hike in the month of June. However, the decline was limited after news emerged that US President Donald Trump could reduce tariffs on Chinese goods. Brent crude fell by $1.92 to a barrel, or 2.85% to $65.52 per barrel, while the US West Texas Intermediate also slid to by $1.99 or 3.18% to $61.68 per barrel. Gold price also declined sharply, extending losses from a record high hit the day before, and improved investor sentiment following Trump's assurance that he wouldn't fire the Fed chair and signs of ease tension with China weighing on safe haven demand. Spot on gold dropped by 3% to $3,281, while U.S. gold futures fell by 3.7%, settling at $3,294 per ounce. So looking at all of this now, it's not looking so good for, it's looking good now in the long run that the Naira would be able to appreciate. Now, there have been concerns from the central bank and also the financial agencies where they've been making comments. Nigerians have been making comments that the Naira always tend to depreciate, and whenever the Central Bank of Nigeria just pumping more dollar into the system, then the Naira gets momentum and then gain a little bit. But after a couple of weeks, that is not sustainable. The long run is that it's not sustainable. The fact that the Naira have to always suffer, and then the intervention of CBN almost on a monthly basis or fortnightly is only the reason why we tend to see a significant growth and a bit of gain against the dollar when the Naira gets traded against the dollar in the FX market. So Nigerians are asking questions. What is going to be a long-term goal that we don't have to always wait for the CBN to always come to crawl out and auction some amount of money, millions of dollars, before the Naira will be able to gain momentum? So Nigerians are calling for an initiative that would be more sustainable, that is more feasible, that is going to last for at least a reasonable amount of time, because because in the first quarter of this month, we've seen the Central Bank of Nigeria traded over $300 million just to have the naira stabilized. So all of this now is actually making Nigerians raise eyebrows in the FX market and ask questions on what is going to be the long-term goal and how can Nigeria continue getting growth and also getting gain above other currencies. So these are questions that are being asked because we've always seen that the Central Bank of Nigeria always tend to step in and try to pump in more dollar into the system so as Nigerian naira would gain momentum. So looking at all of these angles now, Nigerians are asking questions, and we are hoping that the central bank and also financial experts will be able to crack down these major concerns being faced in the financial market. So we'll be having all of those conversations and more immediately after this break. Do stay with us.
Do you know that global television can be watched in Nigeria and all over the world?
Download the Global TV Nigerian mobile app for Android and iOS devices to watch global television real-time from around the world. What are you waiting for?
Start downloading and stay connected to global television.
Business Point on Global Television.
The business world can be dynamic and unpredictable, with headwinds and volatility sometimes becoming an obstacle for players in the business and economy landscape. Watch Business Point on Global Television as Samuel Oji walks you through the twists, turns and curves in bonds, stocks and crucial market indices from a global standpoint. Watch Business Point weekdays on Global Television at 11 a.m. West African time. Business Point. This is business.
Do you know that global television can be watched in Nigeria and all over the world?
Download the Global TV Nigerian mobile app for Android and iOS devices to watch global television real-time from around the world. What are you waiting for?
Start downloading and stay connected to global television.
Yes, many thanks for staying with us. Now let's have this quick conversation. The ongoing economic growth, some World Bank summit is going on where the World Bank projects 3.6% economic growth for Nigeria in this year, 2025. Some individuals have argued differently. IMF are also not in the same page with World Bank based on this growth projection. The World Bank has projected that Nigeria's economy will grow by 3.6% in 2025, building on the estimated 3.4% expansion in 2024 as reforms begin to show signs of stabilizing the macroeconomic environment. The latest forecast contained in the spring of 2025 edition of Africans Plus is more upbeat than the International Monetary Fund, which reversed that Nigerians' 2025 growth downward to 3.0%. The World Bank's projection is premised on improved performance in non-oil sector, particularly services such as financial service, telecommunication and information technology, as well as easing inflationary pressure and improved business sentiment. It expects growth to strengthen to 3.8% by 2027, assuming sustained reformed implementation. We'll be going on a quick break, and when we come back, we'll continue this conversation. Please do stay with us. Many thanks for staying with us. As expected, growth to strengthen to 3.8% by 2027. This is what the World Bank is saying, and assuming sustained reform implementation. Meanwhile, the IMF, International Monetary Fund, in its April 2025 World Economic Outlook offered a more cautious outlook, projecting a 2.7% growth in 2026, citing weaker oil receipts and structural constraints. World Bank sees inflation decline, but IMF warns for a spike. Nigeria's inflation trajectory remains a key point of divergence between the World Bank and the IMF. According to the World Bank, inflation is projected to ease to 22.1% in 2025, down from 26.6% in 2024, and further moderation to 15% by 2027. These projections are based on World Bank's recalculation following the rebasing of the Consumer Price Index by National Bureau of Statistics in the month of January 2025. However, the International Monetary Fund maintains a more pessimistic view, forecasting average inflation at 26.5% in 2025, rising sharply to 37.0% in 2026. It attributes this to the structural inefficiency, high exchange rates, pass-through and lingering cost pressure despite reforms aimed at stabilizing the economy. Inflation has eased temporarily in early 2025 following the rebasing exercise. According to the MBS, headline inflation fell from 34.80% in December of 2024 to 24.48% in January 2025, before clinching back to 24.23% in the month of March, reflecting persistent high cost of living pressure and especially high cost of food items. So looking at this now, both the World Bank and the IMF are currently not even on the same page based on Nigeria's projection. And the IMF says come 2027, that's when we expected to see Nigerian inflation being reduced to 15%. But President Bola Ahmed Tinubu says in his 2025 budget that we expected to see inflation reduced to 15% come December 2025. World Bank, on the other hand, are not even agreeing with the whole conversation. Now, in the long run, this is just showing that there is just so much canals that need to be taken care of in the Nigerian economic system. And also, we've seen policymakers and experts argued that the MBS are not being realistic with the current inflation measures of Nigeria, despite the fact that the CPI has been rebased to 2010 and also the basket has also been increased. So looking at all of this now, there's just more that needs to be done to be able to have Nigerian economy stabilized, which would start from tackling insecurity and also the cost of food items in the market coming down. Then we'll get to see that the cost of items and also inflation measures is going to, drop down to a reasonable amount of number. So when we look at all of these angles now, then we would hope to see that the inflation is going to drop down, and what is going to help that to drop is going to be massive production. And when that continues to happen, then we will see how well the Nigerian inflation is going to reduce down, and the projection of President Ahmed Tinubu and his economic team will come to reality, if possible, if all of these initiatives are being seen through, and having policymakers and those in charge that's talking about the MBS seeing through that the policies are actually being followed through to the latter end. So moving away from that, let's have a quick conversation about cryptocurrency, where Bitcoin trades targets 95,000 US dollars in near terms. This crypto measure were little changed over the past 24 hours as markets settled from a rally and then profits taken from earlier in the week. Bitcoin traded above 93,000 naira, $93,000 early hours of today, with traders pointing to increased optimism of a short-term gain, meaning there's a high chance that the currency is actually going to dip in the coming weeks. With Bitcoin holding firmly at 90,000 US dollars, sentiment is becoming increasingly optimistic. Capital said in a Telegram post called "Options at 95K strike for the end of April and the end of May expires has dominated flow, pointing to the technical appetite for further upside." Core options were contracts given by buyers and rights to purchase an asset at the set price before a deadline. A flurry of core options buying activities indicate that traders are betting that Bitcoin's price would exceed 95,000 US dollars by late April or May at a tradable signal for retail traders. So the projection now is that the bullish trend that we are witnessing in the cryptocurrency world will continue till the end of June and July, because projection for this year is that Bitcoin is supposed to hit around 200,000 US dollars. But now the trade war going on the global stage now is actually affecting the cryptocurrency world, and we've seen that the Bitcoin has dropped significantly weeks before now to up to 80,000 and even 77,000 US dollars. But this momentum now, if it does continue, then if this bullish trend does continue, then we are expected to see Bitcoin actually on a higher level. That's talking about advancing it to 95 to 100,000 US dollars before the end of June 2025. And then come December, we'll see how the bullish momentum will continue, aimed at the global trade war going on between China and the United States of America, and also including other factors that contributes to a decline that we witness in the stock market and also in the cryptocurrency world. So we'll be looking at all of those and definitely be bringing you much updates. This is how much time will permit us to take on today's edition of Business Points. My name is Samuel Odi. I'll see you again as we talk more business. Bye for now.